Yeah, good morning. Today I present to you a principle which I think is active in the biological world, and it is the next thing. I think there is a principle going on in the biological world since the beginning of life, and etc. And which makes people, scientists, think that there is some kind of evolution, but there is not. And but it may seem so because of this principle, maybe. And I'll explain it in the first place. Well, you got organisms of different amounts of cells. You got one cellular life, more cellular life, and bacteria from one cell, and little organisms from 10 cells or 100 cells or 1,000 cells or whatever. Well, I drew them accordingly, but the smaller, and that's the main principle, the smaller an organism is, the more it's sensitive to mutation. Yeah, because they're smaller, and if it mutates, the effect is large because it's one cell. But if you have 10 cells and there is one cell mutating, that has got less impact. And we know that the mutations are neutral or negative and never beneficial. That has not been observed yet scientifically. So the thing is, I think that looking at mutation and the effects of it, that the effect is the largest at if you put it graphically, that the effect of a mutation is bigger than if an organism is smaller, so less amount of cells. This is the amount of cells: 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10 to the 4th, 10 to the 5th, and 10 to the 6th, etc. to 10 to the 10th. I've heard that the human being exists of 10 to the 500 billion cells. A human being is consisting of. So in this order, yeah. In this order, amount of cells. So, but if you look at an organism, then he is more likely to variate. It's not evolution, but it's variation, because there is no positive mutation, but always negative or neutral, observed, was scientifically observed. So I think that, and this is what I assume, this is of course this need to be proved or falsified, that the smaller an organism is, the more it's sensitive to variation within that kind. So little animals, insects and so on, you see that there is a huge variety amongst the most little creatures. So if you look at the bacteria, there's a huge variation because of a variety, not of evolution, amongst the most small cellular organisms. And it may seem as evolution, so people are likely to be mistaken in this area. It may seem evolution, but it is merely a variation. And of course it is more likely to happen at small amounts of cells, a group of small amount of cells which an organism exists, and then when a larger organism is about to change. And I think that is causing that people think that because of bacteria are easily mutated, and also the Bible tells us so. I mean, if you look at Noah was a very righteous man, but he was the first person to become drunk after the flood. Well, bacteria alcohol is produced by yeast, and yeast is a singular cellular organism. And right after the flood, Noah became drunk, but he was a righteous man, so he would not get drunk on himself. Yeah, before the flood, there was no alcohol producing yeasts, but Noah became the first man who became drunk. And that tells us that right after the flood, the influence of radioactive agents and cosmic radiation altered the bacteria in such a way that some bacteria changed to yeast type cells. And so there you see that the most singular cells are very likely, even according to the Bible, for a variation. Yeah. So the variety of animals and plants we have right now, I don't think that Noah was familiar with. And especially the higher organisms, the horses, the elephants, etc., the whales. The whale of now is the same as the whale of about a couple of thousand years ago, because it's big. Of course, also the habitat of an organism will play a key role, because if an organism lives deep in the ground, it's less sensitive to cosmic radiation than if it's living on top of the soil. So that there might be a variation in amounts of variation or etc. But because of the habitat, and if an organism lives in the sea, then also the water is blocking a lot of radioactive stuff and etc. But in general, the smaller the organism, the more it's likely to variate under mutation, not evolve, but variate. Yeah, because but it's wrong to think that those variations lead to evolution. That's never proven. And okay, I understand why people may think so because of this principle. Yeah. But it can never happen that variation will lead to evolution. That's never proven and never been observed. So that's why I introduce to you this principle, that the less cells an organism contains, the more, well, I put it here 100 just as a figure, 100%, that they are much more likely to variate under mutation. And the more cells, the less the rate of variation. And that's why you see a lot of insects in a broad variety appearing. And all the smaller the type of animal or etc., the bigger the variety amongst those species. Okay, this principle I like to introduce to you. I don't know whether this is true. It has got to be proven, but it's just an assumed principle which I like to postulate right now. So it's not evolution, but it's a variation. And I can imagine that people think, because of this principle, that there is some kind of evolution, which is not true, which I don't believe in. There is no evolution. But because of this principle, it may seem so. Okay, this is what I like to introduce to you folks. Okay, bye-bye.